Hello, my name is Squiragara. I just wanted to let you know how I overcame some of the challenges, and I do believe that many South Sudanese will relate to this story. Because given the political situation in South Sudan, many South Sudanese faced many challenges, ranging from religious discrimination to racial discriminations. So, in within Sudan, even as citizens, we were seen as almost third-class citizens because uh, the Arab Sudanese or Northern Sudanese were seen as the first class, and then other foreigners were second, and then Southerners were almost third-class citizens in their own country. So imagine being seen as a third-class citizen in your own country. And then because of the war, we had to move in seek of seeking refuge in neighboring countries, and then living as refugee, you're basically stateless. You don't have a country, and being stateless, you don't get respected as much as you would if you had your own country. So there's that element of collectivity of a refugee. You lose your individuality. You're not an individual. You just live in that mass of collectivity where you lose yourself. You don't have an individuality, and you can't actually talk of self because you're a refugee. And then again, because of some other factors, some of us were able to move to North America or Europe or Australia, and it still is the same thing of who we are as refugees. Even with Canadian, for example, myself with Canadian passport, people still call me a refugee, and refugees are seen as people who have some problems that they can't part with, problems that will always have perennial problems, which people assume. So imagine in my own country, I was seen as a third class citizen. In neighboring countries, as a refugee, I was seen as stateless, hopeless, as lacking any personhood. And then coming to Canada, then there's that element of racial divide, of cultural conflicts. Then again, it's the same problems of who are you? How can people value you? And they look back to where we come from, to Africa, and say Africa is embroiled in political instabilities. It's also embroiled in economic stagnation. It's not moving anywhere. It has no technological innovations. It has no political innovations or political developments like advanced democracies or appreciable democracies. So when people are faced with such things, people tend to, many Africans tend to believe that what other people say of them, that state of incapability, that state of backwardness is almost characterizing them. So how do you get away from this? How do you deal with these things in all these societies? So what I did as a person is to sort of look into myself, not look outside, look into myself, and then relate that to who other people are. And my main way of doing dealing with these things is to study other cultures, study other people, study myself, and write about things. It's therapeutic in a way, and then in the process, one starts to discover oneself. So I discovered who I am. And now, what other people say about me, if they say, "Oh, I come from Africa, so I must have been working with lions or something like that," it doesn't affect me as much, because what I do think, what I do tell people, is either they don't understand me or they don't understand who they are, because the underlying factor is there's so many factors that I have that they have, and some things that they take for granted because they hear them, and they don't actually have any grounding for who they are. So what I do is to ground myself. First of all, do writing. For example, I have a novel. I've written a novel about living in a multicultural society, and I have a poetry, and that's how I deal with these things. And I get to put what other people think into paper. and that's how I deal. Now it doesn't, I have discovered who I am. I can write about who other people are, and when people look at me with a condescending or patronizing attitude, I know how to deal with it. It doesn't affect me as much, and what I do is to try to help them to also discover who they are and also understand who I am. So the underlying thing is understand who you are. And if you get a way in which you can let go your feelings, then you wouldn't be angry. As many South Sudanese in a school have problems who they are, their identity, and how other people look down upon them. The question is understand who you are, and the way you can understand who you are is stay in school, read and read about yourself, about other people, and you would know what to say when people say you are this or that, because you will know exactly who you are. Thanks.